Hi there, Janet Fritz here for Galaxy Girl Creations. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to another day of color craze. Today's video, or color scheme I should say, is very traditional Halloween. We've got purple and orange with gray, black, and white. So I decided to use this really big picture of Noah in his hippo costume from last year. So this is printed in an 8x10 size. I printed it at home on my Canon Pro 100, which allows up to I think 19 by 13 as far as prints go. So this is just an 8x10. So just took regular Canon photo printer paper, and I just fussy cut it out. And sometimes I like to do that with these large photos because there's no reason to have a bunch of the background. You had I think my son's leg in there and some gravel and some foliage. There's nothing great about the scenery or anything like that. So I thought this was a perfect photo for that purpose. Also doesn't have a lot of straggly bits of costume hanging off of him or anything that takes a lot of fussy cutting. It's one solid good image, and so it makes it really easy to read even on a busy background. So I highly recommend giving that a try if that is something that you have never done before. So then that cut file that you saw me pulling apart right there, that was from Creative Fabrica. I will leave a link down below for their website. I do have an affiliate link for them. You can sign up for a subscription, monthly subscription at a deal or a discount using my affiliate link, or you can purchase one-off items. And so all of the links down below will be there for those things, for this particular cut file and for I am going to use another cut file on here as well. So both cut files will be linked down below as well as the subscription if you're interested. So I thought about leaving it with that black just like it is, but I really want to get the purple and the orange in there somehow. So what I thought I would do is I would ink up the black outline or the black border. So instead of leaving that black border on there, which I actually really like the way that it looks, except for that my paper isn't quite as stark black as that. The paper that I'm using is from Studio Tech Trek, and I got that from Paper Issues on their when they're having 50% off of everything. And so I am just kind of playing around with the idea of what it would look like by removing the outside and leaving the inside in. So it's going to take me a little bit of work here to replace all of those little pieces where the pumpkins went and where the, not the pumpkins because I do actually want to ink those up, but where the in-between of all the branches are. And so I want to add those back in so that when I remove the outside piece, it takes the branches with it, and I will be inking those up. So I'm using it more like a mask than a stencil, if you will. Which I know everybody says, what's the difference? One, you're keeping the inside and the other, you're keeping the outside. I don't know. I'm not really 100% sure myself. But so there you can see I am keeping the pieces that are visible. So I want those branches and the entire outside circle. I want that as well. And I want it in purple. And I was so wishing that the new distress color was in my hands by this point, but it wasn't, and actually it's still not. So maybe next week we'll see. I'm not sure when our local store will get it in stock, and if I can get it local, I'd rather do that and support my local store. And so yeah, so I am just using let's see here, I think that's Wilted Violet. It's not Milled Lavender, it's the darker of the two. And so I started out with just the regular distress ink on the white, but then I realized to go over that black, I actually need to use the Oxide ink because it gets better coverage because it's got that chalky kind of finish to it. So it covers the black better and leaves a little bit more of a purple sheen to it. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm just using one of my blender brushes, and my blender brushes happen to be from Tailored Expressions. Any blender brush would work. An ink dauber would work as well, but you're going to have to be really careful in those areas where I replaced all of the little bits and pieces between the branches so that it doesn't pick those pieces up, because they're not held on by anything but just a little bit of ATG glue. And even that, I barely tacked it on there because I don't want it to rip the paper up when I pull them back off. So repositionable tape would work as well for that, but I don't happen to have any handy at this time. So yeah, so I just used my ATG in hopes that it will not stick too much and it will allow me to pull it back up. So I'm just doing a really good layer of coverage over all of these open parts of the that circle. And I really like that the branches are coming in. It's kind of going to have, I don't want to say a foggy feel to it, but you know, that creepy graveyard feel. It's kind of like that, even though it's not like, I mean, the photo's not of him in a graveyard or anything, but it's kind of got the creepy feel to it. In his hands, he is holding a Reese's peanut butter cup, and he's got chocolate all over his face. That happens to be my son's favorite candy, and Noah really adores it as well. I don't know if Noah actually has a favorite candy because he likes pretty much all candy. So here I'm just going to go over the bats with some black soot oxide ink to make sure I get good coverage even over that chevron. That's kind of that grayish color. It's a really dark blackish gray. And so by going over it with the black oxide ink, you can still see those bats. And then I just used some orange oxide ink to go over the pumpkins. And I think I don't know what I used for the orange, actually, to be honest with you. I think it was dried marigold. I could be wrong, though. So now I'm just going to peel off the pieces that I had stuck on with my ATG gun to kind of reveal all of those little branches. And I like how it's looking. It kind of looks cool. I did not end up putting any ink where the cat was because the cat was going to be underneath Noah anyway. And in fact, so was that cross that you saw there. And I kind of like the pumpkin that's peeking over his shoulder, so I decided to go ahead and leave it kind of where it's at there. And then I cut out this additional cut file, and this is a title cut file, and I shrink it down pretty good. So I think it's like, I want to say 5.5 inches across or something like that. I think that's what it says. And it says, "Show me the candy." So I thought that was perfect for this particular layout because the look on his face, and he's just covered in chocolate all over his mouth. And then I decided to cut the inside of the letters with this other purple. It's a much lighter purple, but I do go over it with a purple Wink of Stella pen to kind of give it some additional color and shimmer. It doesn't get really great coverage, which is okay because I still want the design to show through to some extent, but it does add a little bit of shimmer to it, and I really like the way that looks. Now I'm just using my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive to adhere everything down. It does dry quick, it dries clear, it dries matte, so any bits that smush out from behind those letters is not going to show up much at all because it is matte finish. And I really like the way that this glue works because I don't have to sit there and hold it for very long. And oftentimes in my videos, if I'm doing alphas that have foam underneath them, you'll see me use my acrylic block just to kind of hold everything in place while it does set up. But it really does not take long at all. So I highly recommend it. Now this cut file also has some little candy bits on it, so I cut those out of a couple of different colors. I cut them out of orange and white, and because there's candy corn, I cut the candy corn out of orange and white, so I would have the orange piece and the white piece, and then the yellow piece, I'm just going to use my my ink blending brush that's yellow to ink up the yellow piece. It didn't make sense to cut a whole nother piece out of yellow just to get one tiny little bit to be yellow when I could just ink it up. So take shortcuts where you can. That is always my advice. If you can shortcut it and have it still look great and not look like you shortcutted it, then I definitely recommend it. And so these little white bits, I'm going to add those back into this swirl candy. I did it in orange and white just to keep the colors. You could have, it would be great for one of those peppermint candies that you get like at Christmas time, even though it says "Show me the candy." It doesn't have to be Halloween. It does have little stars on it, and it has candy corns, but these are easy things to kind of alter on a cut file for the most part. And in fact, you're going to see me alter this cut file. So the little stars, I don't end up using those stars. I have some acrylic stars that I got from MK over at her shop, which I'll link down below. It's some assemblage required, and it's her Etsy store. And so I went ahead and purchased some little stars from her, and that's what I used in place of the stars that came on the cut file. So you see them there. Um, oh, sorry, I am inking up. Oh, you know what? I did not use Wink Stella. I used some mica mist from Tonic Studios. Again, same idea. It's sparkly, but it doesn't add a lot of color coverage. It does darken the purple a little bit, but it's not giving you full coverage like paint would actually give you. Anyway, you see the stars there right below the bottle of mica mist, and I am going to use those in place of where the stars were. And in fact, I have already cut the little black stars off. The black stars did have an additional piece that you could cut to layer right over the top. They were additional little stars, like I could have cut them in the orange and put them on there and left it like that. Now I am trimming down my paper by an 1/8 of an inch on all 4 sides so that I can mat the whole thing on black. You see me do this frequently. It's one of my favorite things to do with a layout like this. I think it just finishes everything off nicely. It gives it kind of a framed look, and it makes me super happy. So I'm just going to use my ATG to go ahead and adhere Noah down to this layout and add my title. And I'm really liking how this looks. I'm not leaving a whole lot of space for any fancy journaling or anything. I think I might add a little bit of journaling in white, maybe up in the upper right-hand corner where that black triangle comes down. That would be a really good place for it. Or maybe right above the title in that black section. I don't have a ton to say, so it could go there as well. And so, yeah, I think it's looking pretty good. I'm going to add those stars in. I'm just using some glue dots for that. Actually, I'm pulling out the Zots bling, and I'm using that instead of the glue dots. Actually, the glue dots were a little bit too big for these particular stars, and so the Zots bling worked a little bit better. And then you can see I have some black acrylic bats there on the right hand side. Those are also from MK's shop, and I'm going to add those to this layout as well. Right up where those bats are, and a few just below the title, and that's pretty much going to finish it off. So I am really loving the way that this came together. It's very, it doesn't require a lot of pattern paper. It doesn't require, it requires some cut files is what it requires, and some inking. But I think it's a lot of fun and a good way to, change up your style. If you, like for me, I use a lot of pattern paper in layers on a lot of my layouts. And so this is just a fun way to kind of change things up. Now I'm kind of using those bats, some of those bats as though they are shadows to the other bats. And then the other ones, I'm just placing kind of around the bats that were up top. And then I've got 3 that are just down below the title just to kind of finish things off. And I am liking the way that that's looking. Now I could have added the faces to the pumpkins back in, but I didn't want it to be spooky, and the one that is in the bottom right, which is most visible, had a very spooky face to it, and so I kind of just said, you know what, I'm just going to leave them as pumpkins, not jack-o'-lanterns, and call it good. So hopefully you go and check MK's video out for today. This is our final day of Color Craze. I can't wait to see what she has done. She always does spectacular work. So go and check her out. Links again are down below for everything. If you have questions or comments, you can always drop those down below and I will get back to you. If not right away, it will be in a couple of days. So always just give me a little bit of time and I do respond. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you have enjoyed this series. We are getting ramped up to bring you something else a little bit different for November, and so hopefully you will come back and check that out as well. I will see you guys again in just a few days. I hope you have, or actually I'll see you again tomorrow because I have another video tomorrow. Have a great day, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.